Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday morning to you. Welcome back to Morning Musings. I do hope that you're safe. I hope, as I have encouraged over and over, that you are continuing in prayer, that you are trusting in the Lord. I was reading just this morning that some health officials believe that there are even more glimmers of hope of recovering from this pandemic. Now, there are some really disturbing things that have cropped up just over the last little bit, and that is the possibility that people have even recovered from, from corona, only to catch it again, and that some health officials are saying that in the fall, late summer, early fall, this horrific disease may actually come back. And so that's very disturbing. So it's very, very necessary that we observe the safe practices that have been put in place. Well, we are continuing our examination of what Jesus said in Matthew 24 and verse 34 when he said, after he had given the signs of the end, and he said there are going to be wars and rumors of wars. There's going to be false teachers. There are going to be false prophets. There's going to be a loss of love for the truth. There's going to be the preaching of the gospel into all the world. There's going to be the abomination of desolation. And then, of course, the great tribulation. And Jesus said, when you see all of these things, know that that is the coming of the Lord of verse 29 to 31, know that it is near. Now, the very fact that Jesus told his apostles, you will see, you will see, you will see. Unless we are able to prove absolutely definitively that Jesus was not really telling his apostles that they would see. And by the way, if Jesus was not saying that his apostles would see, then why were they supposed to flee when they did see? When you see the abomination of desolation, then let those who are in Judea flee. When you see. In order to maintain any semblance of a futuristic application, interpreters and commentators must absolutely 100% ignore audience relevance and say that even though Jesus, or that is to say his apostles, had asked the questions, and even though Jesus is ostensibly answering their questions about, by the way, the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple, and by the way, the attempts to get around the you will see language take a really strange twist at this term. Yes, indeed, we are told the apostles would see. Their generation would see the destruction of Jerusalem. Oh, but the coming of the Lord and the end of the age about which they had asked, they would not see. And yet the coming of the Lord and the end of the age about which they asked was in direct relationship to the issue of the destruction of the temple, which they would see, which would be in their generation. So we have this bifurcation, this chopping up of the Olivet Discourse by futurists who tell us, well, yeah, when he told them they would see, that meant, this is going to happen in your generation, and this comes to the forefront especially in Luke chapter 21, 20 and following, in which we are told by the dispensationalist, Luke 21, 20 and following, definitely referred to AD 70. Well, Jesus said, when you see Jerusalem surrounded by the armies. So they were going to see that. It was going to happen in their generation. But then, to reiterate, we are told they would not see, even though they're the ones that were being told to go into all the world, preach the gospel to every creature, to the uttermost parts of the earth, Acts chapter 1, verse 7 and 8. They are the ones told to go preach. They are the ones that were going to be persecuted as they went. They are the ones to see or to fulfill that commission. Oh, but no, we're told, no, not them. The church 2,000 years removed from them. And thus, audience relevance loses all application. And a person has to take Jehoiakim's penknife and chop the text up. I've got one set of commentaries that's right over there on the bottom shelf, in which the commentator, now he was a very nice guy. I met him on several occasions. Very nice guy. But he says in Matthew chapter 24 in the Olivet Discourse that Jesus purposely made the discourse confusing so that the apostles would not understand his teaching on eschatology. Therefore, what Jesus did, according to this commentator, this verse is AD 70. The very next verse, end of time. Back to AD 70. Then back to the end of the world. To purposely confuse the apostles on the issue of eschatology. Well, that's strange. Because in Matthew chapter 13, 16 and following, Jesus said that he told his parables about eschatology, so that they would understand. Not so that they would not, but so that they would. And so, this little re-primer on hermeneutic is absolutely so critical. When we look at all of the statements in Matthew chapter 24, leading up to verse 34, and by the way, after verse 34, when Jesus repeatedly said, watch therefore, watch therefore. Well, let me ask you a question. If the coming of the Lord, the judgment and the resurrection, was not supposed to be for 2,000 plus years and counting, why were the apostles supposed to watch for it? Because after all, listen to me very carefully. If the apostles knew, if the apostles knew that the destruction of Jerusalem was supposed to be, without any doubt whatsoever, in their generation, and many commentators tell us that's exactly what Matthew 24:34 is talking about. So if the apostles knew, without a doubt, that the fall of Jerusalem was supposed to be in that generation, then by that very fact, they knew, listen to me, they knew that the end of the world, that the coming of the Lord at the end of the world would not take place before that destruction. So why did the Lord tell them ostensibly to be looking for his coming at the end of the world? Because it could just happen at any moment. You see what? Again, that's not even good nonsense. It's not good nonsense. Listen, I don't want you to forget my April 4-book special. Go to my website, DonKPreston.com, BibleProphecy.com. Don't forget, if you purchased all 3 books in the special, all right, 70 weeks are determined for the resurrection, then comes the end, along with Israel 1948, which is not a book, it's a DVD series. But if you purchased all 3 of those separately, it costs you over $70. But I am throwing in absolutely free another book that would normally cost you $6.95. So go to my website, donkpreston.com, BibleProphecy.com. It's right up there. There's a banner right up at the very top. Just click on it. Total delivered price for U.S. orders only. I can't do this for orders out of the U.S., but total delivered price, $55. You've only got a few days left for the month of April 2020. Take advantage of this fantastic special. Save yourself over $15. You get 3 great books and the DVD series on Israel and the land. Okay? Thanks for joining me for this morning's Morning Musings. Don't forget, folks, first off, primarily audience relevance, and then determine application. I'll see you on the flip side.